Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to an episode of Coffee is for Closers. It's Matt and Pat.
We're back.
Pat and Matt. We're here. Today we're going to talk about is the impending financial doom of the world and how it may or may not affect your sales. So if you don't want to lose all your money, watch past the intro.
Ex-Special Forces sniper turned entrepreneur. I've scaled numerous businesses to 8 figures. My name is Matt Ryder. This is my podcast, and I'm telling you to put that coffee down.
Go.
So we did a whole thing on FTX
We did.
where I had a big whinge about losing 30 grand. And I was playing with crypto and I was like, you know what, I don't enjoy this. I'm just going to buy some Bitcoin and some Ethereum.
Just hold it.
Leave
Safe.
it. Disappear.
Yeah.
It just doesn't exist anymore.
Yep. That's the beauty of crypto. You can just disappear.
And then same just happened with a real bank.
A couple of them.
Yeah.
So in the last couple of weeks, Signature Bank out of New York, gone.
Mm-hmm.
Silicon Valley Bank, gone.
Mhm.
First Republic Bank, which is like a regional bank, pretty big, like top 10 bank in the US,
Okay.
might go down, but they might get saved. They have a 111% loan to deposit ratio.
Mm-hmm.
So they that fractional lending happening.
Mm-hmm.
Credit Suisse, which
Yeah.
has been an institution for those who have like been interested in the banking space. Credit Suisse has been in trouble for about 2 years.
Okay.
They heavily overinvested in Asian speculative markets,
Right.
and just didn't learn a lesson from. Well, they came out of 2008 really well,
Okay.
but like by happenstance, it wasn't through skill, and so like they didn't. There was no one there that had to learn a lesson.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I think that will so they got bought by UBS, which is a really, 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 really good bank, like very, very traditional and very safe in their like practices. But they like that will get overturned, I would think, by the Supreme Court of Switzerland.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it almost have to, right? So what happened? For those of you who don't know, so Credit Suisse is a bank, right? Out of Switzerland, and it's Credit Suisse. Been around for a long time. They had a lot of like investment offshoots. But this is like the main actual bank. So what they did is they were bought by UBS for $3.2 billion, even though they had $40 billion under sort of asset management and stuff like that. So that company's worth at least $40 billion, right, as a trade sale. But they were bought for $3.2 billion. Now what happened was the Switzerland government enacted emergency powers and forced UBS to buy it
Okay.
with 48 hours notice to do the due diligence.
Okay.
So UBS was, as a private company, by the government, forced
How
to
did that
purchase
come
a
to be?
competitor. Because they enacted emergency powers. So Credit Suisse is going to go down,
Mhm.
right? Like it was going to go bankrupt because they didn't have any money. And like that was started to run on the bank, I'm pretty sure. So to stop the run, they closed all withdrawals. The Switzerland government enacted emergency powers and then forced UBS to buy it.
Wow. I can't imagine how that would work, though.
So they did it. It's completely against the law. The emergency powers are there for wars. They're not there for banking crises. Like that's not written in. They had to do some heavy interpretation as to why they could do it. And there's already a lawsuit that's being done by the equity holders of Credit Suisse. So like you can buy ANZ shares, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can buy Bank of America shares. So people have shares in Credit Suisse. They bought in a valuation of $40 billion.
Yeah.
And they're getting sold at $3 billion. So they're taking a bath on it, and with 48 hours notice, and like they could have sold that for 20 to 30 billion on the market, even if it is going down. They could have paused it and then sold it because it's worth money. But they had to be done in 2 days because some government fuckwit was like, this needs to be done.
Yeah.
Right? But it'll almost definitely get overturned.
Okay.
Like I don't see how it could.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird that they would force a competitor to buy it and not just bail them out and make it a government bank.
Yeah, but that's what happens when you have a fairly overreaching government. Imagine if, you were forced to purchase some other fucking dog trainer. You're like, what are you talking about?
I don't want to.
I don't want to. No, you have to. Sorry, this is happening. You're like, what if I don't? Well, then we'll shut you down.
Yeah.
And we'll force someone else to buy you for pennies on the dollar.
Yeah.
Oh, I see what's happening here.
Yeah.
It's fucking bullshit. But, yeah.
I think that I'm curious to see what you think of like all these banks collapsing and what that has for the future of even just fractional reserve lending. Like, is that coming to an end, or like is there going to be more? What's it going to change? What's it look like? And specifically for salespeople, how does this affect? How does this affect them?
I think it depends heavily on where you are. Like in Australia, we're very safe. So Paul Keating, who was one of our prime ministers, enacted the 4 pillars, like legislation. So when he was PM, what they basically decided is that like you have to have 80% of what you lend out in liquid at all times as an Australian bank.
Okay.
So
do they do that though?
They do. They have to. It's very, very, very heavily regulated.
Okay.
Right. So Australian banking is very, very safe.
Okay.
So the big 4, in exchange for doing that, they get a lot of, like, they don't have to. They get a lot of help from the government.
Sure.
They just get a free pass to do a bunch of shit, but they have to keep 80%. So there's a run in an Australian bank. They have the money.
Right.
Canada is the same thing.
Okay.
So Canadian banks really safe. Australian banks really safe. UK banks don't do it. Neither do a lot of European banks. And US banks are completely and totally broke.
Yeah.
So the US banking system is in serious trouble. Like all of my advisors have told me, like Australia is going to massively come out of this very, very well. The reason being is because like what happens when, so the banking system works as a liquidity pool for the country. So that is why people go, oh, you shouldn't bail out the banks. You have to bail out the banks. You have to, otherwise the whole system collapses, right?
We're back to throwing rocks at each other.
Exactly. So it's the liquidity pool for the people. That's where we get all of our money and where all of our money is stored. We all agree upon it. As long as we all agree upon it, everything's fine. Every now and then the government's going to have to come in and bail it out. It's just kind of the way it is, right? It's just like a liquidity crunch, which is what happened to SVB, so Silicon Valley Bank. What they did is actually quite smart. Like traditionally, is they bought bonds. But bonds have like a term, right? And if you sell prior to the term, you get heavily penalized. So it's like when a bond matures. When you sell a mature bond, you end up making a decent amount of money. It's traditionally a very, very safe investment strategy, and tons of banks are very heavily invested in government bonds, right? However, what happened is interest rates rose, which is generally good for banks because they make more money, right? Because they make money off that. Then from there, they had a liquidity crunch, which is like pretty common for banks. Like they're running a little bit low on cash, so they'll borrow cash from other banks to cover it, and then they'll pay it back, right? But what happened was nobody lent SVB the money, so they couldn't cover the liquidity, and they had to then sell a whole bunch of their bonds prior to maturity.
Right.
So they lost a bunch of money, and they went down.
Right. So they weren't up to some bullshit.
Not really.
That's what's scary, right?
Yeah.
Because like when CFTX collapsed, and it's like, oh, they were ripping, like they were totally doing everything. It was all bullshit. They were ripping people off. They never held the money. They never did the things that their terms of service said they were going to do. So it collapsed, of course. But
SVB doesn't sound like they were doing anything super dodgy.
Yeah.
And also like seemed like pretty normal. Slight liquidity crunch, not a big deal. We'll borrow the money. No one lent the money. So it's
why did that happen, do you think?
I'm not really sure. Usually the government would just step in and cover it, but it was, I don't know, it's weird.
Yeah.
Like because they didn't do anything overly irresponsible.
That's what's terrible.
They borrowed, they definitely loaned a bit too much. Like Signature Bank just outloaned themselves to death on stupid ratios, and that's the same thing that's happening to First Republic. Like there's a run on that bank at the moment, so we'll see what happens with that. I think they'll be bailed out.
That's an American bank?
Yeah. So they're like one of the top tier regional banks.
Okay.
Right? So they're like top 10 banks in the US.
Right.
There's way more banks in the US than in Australia.
And a run on the bank means a bigger run on the bank because then everybody's
Exactly.
like, oh fuck, I gotta get out.
Yeah, it's funny. We watched Mary Poppins last night with the kids,
Yeah.
and there's a run on that bank because little Michael, they try and take his little tuppence, and he's like, give me back my money. And then one person goes, they won't give him his money. I want my money. And then he goes, that. And it's a run on the bank. And that's literally what happens.
Yeah, totally.
Like it's that quick. It's like, what do you mean I can't have my cash? And then everyone wants their cash, and every ATM gets wiped out. Everyone tries to pull their money out, right?
Yeah.
Because like you're only insured, like in Australia, you're only insured for $250,000 per account. So like, it's actually smart to have like
accounts with only $250,000 in it.
with every bank.
Right.
With every bank. So one Westpac, one ANZ, one here, because then you're actually like protected. But if you got like $5 million in a bank account and it goes down,
Yeah.
like, oh.
And I think as well, like, that insurance is, you're assuming that
Yeah.
they're liquid enough to pay you that.
Exactly.
Right? And if like, I'm sure that if an actual bank went down in Australia, the colossal effect of that would also...
If an Australian bank goes down, it's catastrophic.
Yeah. So then that would affect the insurance's ability to pay out the $250 you're insured for.
Yeah. It's all a system of trust. Yeah.
How do you think this affects like the bigger picture?
Well, SVB, so for sales, in coaching consulting, it's a big deal. Because SVB was one of the main credit buyers, I don't know if people know this, of the lenders that you use to sell your coaching products. Right? So now they've subsequently moved to like a different lender, but SVB, so what happens when you do funding in the coaching consulting space is you're usually doing somewhat higher risk lending, right? So say some companies like, okay, anyone with a 680 credit score, 680 is not bad, or 700 credit score will get the money. Then what happens is they take the first payment. Once the first payment's taken, they sell the note. So they're selling the debt, right? And a lot of it's done through United or American Credit, I think, American Credit. And like American Credit is like a big buyer of notes, and they're like heavily invested, heavily funded through SVB, which no longer exists, right? So what everybody would have seen is basically if you were with the main lenders in the coaching consulting space, you would have had 100% denial rate.
Right.
Also, a lot of the payouts were paused.
Okay.
Right? So, like, big deal. A lot of coaching companies would be really struggling right now because it's really hard to find lenders, and a lot of information and educational programs are very heavily bent towards selling through funding. Because it means you just don't need to go to the sales team, right? I'll just finance it because the business absorbs the interest. It's like, the business pays 15-16%. So if it's 10 grand, that coaching company is like that person's borrowing 10 grand, but 1,500 of it goes straight to the lender.
What? So the actual coaching company is paying that?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah. And so you price accordingly.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But then so the 8,500 goes to the coaching company, right? So 15% off the top straight away.
Right.
And that's how it becomes. We'll finance it over 36 months.
Right.
We get paid in full. Everybody wins, right?
Yeah.
Assuming that the money's paid.
Assuming there's a bank.
Yeah. Exactly. So what that means is that right now they're only going to lend to 740, 730 and above out of 800.
Right.
So you got a fucking good credit score to get lending. Right. And if you have that, you probably don't need to.
Yeah, exactly.
So a lot of the business models, and there was a lot of people that used everybody gets approved models, which I think basically will be kiboshed, either have been, because I've seen some of our competitors dramatically change tact in their marketing, to a totally different avatar.
And in what way? Explain that to me.
So I can talk about it, who cares? So Cole Gordon, good guy, I've spoken about him before. A lot of their stuff is BizOp sales coaching to be placed as a sales rep. But because it's BizOp, you're dealing with a lower socioeconomic demographic, right? Of people who hate their job and want to learn how to make 10K a month from the living room. That's
you're looking for an easy out.
Yeah, that's what the ads are.
Yeah.
Learn this one skill, make 10 grand a month from the living room. Beautiful. Are you sick of trying side hustles and shit like that, right? So that demographic needs the funding. They use a lot of funding. And a lot of it's everybody gets approved. So everyone gets approved. But if that goes away...
How have they been managing the risk of that?
That's subprime lending.
What do you mean?
It's giving money to people who shouldn't be giving money to.
Yeah, okay. So, but
extraordinarily high interest rates.
Okay, right, yeah. So they accept that some of these people aren't going to pay this back, and there's nothing we can do.
So usually the business will only get half. So if it's a $5,000 everybody gets approved, that business will get $2,500.
Right, okay.
Right.
But as the lender then is just accepting that our interest rates are so high on the people that...
So do you remember 2008, right?
Yeah.
Financial crisis?
I was busy banging, I didn't have downstairs.
Yeah. So that was caused by subprime lending.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, lending to people who shouldn't.
Yeah, but it was caused by people lending money for houses.
Yeah, for property, yeah.
Which is obviously a lot bigger than a $5,000 coaching.
Yeah.
Now, we don't do... none of the businesses that I work with or my businesses, I just don't like subprime lending. I just, especially with the volume of people we sell, I feel like I would be contributing to the next global financial crisis, and I'd rather not have that on my head.
I think that, beyond just financial, there's an ethics component to that.
For me, yeah.
Yeah. And I think that, we've spoken about this a lot in the past, but, when you're really good at selling, there is an ethics component in not convincing people who shouldn't buy to buy.
Yeah,
right. Who have
and that's a conversation all those businesses can have internally, and whatever they decide, they can decide. But none of my sales teams are allowed to do everyone's personal.
Okay.
We've had businesses that have it, and they said, "Oh, we use this," and I go, "I'm not use that."
Right.
And they've gotten shitty when I came in. Like, if they can't afford it, they can't afford it.
Yeah.
Like, just because we can get someone to give them the money, like subprime lending is, you look at it, and anyone who says yes to a subprime model and is okay with a 30% interest rate, like, they're not reading it, or they're too stupid, or just ignorant to actually go like, what does this mean? Because it's almost like a hard money loan, where you're looking at like just hardcore monthly compounding, high interest.
Yeah.
It's credit card stacking, stuff like that. Right?
Yeah. You may as well be going to the guy on the corner.
It's a loan shark.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like subprime, I have a real problem with it. But like a lot of these businesses use it, and listen, they might have a phenomenal product and people get a great return. It's all worth it.
Yeah.
Right? So.
And that's the hope.
Yeah. We'll see. So like a lot of that's being turned off because like everything's crunching down. And so like what I've seen, and this is just from the outside, like I don't have any insight into like Cole's business specifically, is a dramatic shift towards the business owner for their mastermind. I've never seen them advertise their mastermind before. I've always seen their ads for like learn this, but now I've seen immediately, and I'm getting flooded with ads just for the mastermind.
Right.
So I'm like, well, that's interesting because that to me would indicate, okay, well, all that lending is potentially dried up, so now we need to get them in this way. Or maybe they're fucking full and they have so many sales where they don't know what to do with themselves, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like to me, that would indicate, okay, cool, because I know what's happening in the background and all these lenders have massive, we only have like 12% of our income comes from lending.
Right.
So we're like, I could lose that money, it's fine. It's not really going to affect us because we just don't pay comms on it, and like we could easily recover half of it. So like if all our lending goes away, I know that I could recover half of it anyway, just through like sales, and I lose 6% and whatever.
Yeah, something to
It is what it is, I also have an internal finance team which works with clients on lending strategies that don't require those methods, that are more personal based and using like their banking relationships and stuff like that for like a better administration.
So at 7th level,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So, and how does that work? Someone commits on the call, I want this, I'm going to buy it.
Yeah, so they pay a deposit.
I don't have any money.
Yeah, they pay a deposit, and from there, if their credit's bad, then we can send them to credit repair people. And there's also we have give them a list of things, like it's not advice, financial advice. It's like, hey, traditionally this is what we've seen. These people are professionals. They're like, this is how people generally repair their credit. You can go off and do this if you'd like. If we not, we can refer you to someone who can help you do it. Because with credit repair, you can't charge for it. You can only charge for it after it's done.
Really?
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. I mean, there's ways around that. We were asked to sell a program about a year ago, and it was a credit repair program where you teach people how to do it, because you can charge people money. It's a pretty easy process to be honest to credit repair, but it was a $10,000 upfront fee. And I was like, how are you doing this? And they go, oh, it's for this. And I go, this seems like it's not legal. And they go, no, it's a gray area. I said, I'm out. I said, I'm out. I'm slack.
It's a gray area.
I go, I'm out. I can't do it.
It's gray area. It depends if you get caught or not is the main thing.
Yeah.
Fuck off.
And it was the way it was phrased in the contract, and I was like, I just don't like gray areas. It doesn't seem like the best use of my time.
Yeah.
So everything's sort of tightening up. So it'll mean that any business that's heavily bent towards the funding model is going to really hurt, because it's just not going to be available. And I've been telling my sales team for probably a year, hey guys, funding won't always be there.
Yeah.
Use it as a backup. You're better off getting a payment plan. You get more comps anyway because we pay minus the fee. So if they do $10,000 minus 15%, they're only going to get comps on the $8,500.
Right.
Instead of getting comps on the 10.
Okay, so it's probably better for the consumer, the sales guy, and the actual coach or whatever, that if they go into a payment plan and see it through without having to lend money, everybody makes more along the way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the person's more committed because they've actually had to put their money down instead of just paying this $400 monthly fee.
What do you do in instances where people do go on a payment plan for an 18-month access to the course? They make the first 2 payments, but they smash through the whole the content that's available to them, and then they that genuinely can't make the rest of the payments. Like there's no way you can assess that.
So if it's financed,
yeah.
If it's financed,
no, it's not. Like
we only do 3 pays.
Okay.
We do 1, 2, 3 pay. That's it.
Okay.
So and there's our contract state basically percentage of portals and stuff like that, how much they go through them, they have to come to the party essentially. Right. We also have debt collection services that we have available to us, and then usually we'll just chat to them and be like, listen man, this is the contract, this is what you've said, you've gone through the whole fucking thing 3 times.
Yeah.
You owe us the money. We want to get the money. We understand you don't have it at the moment. What are the options available to you? And then we'll kind of work with them.
Okay.
And it's very rare that we'll send someone to collections because we can just go in our house.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that seems like just a shitty thing. Also, sometimes we can write off a portion of it as bad debt, which then reduces our taxable income. So it's okay, well, you owe us 10, pay us 5, and we'll write 5 off. Mm-hmm. That's the equivalent of us getting 6.5.
Right.
So
yeah.
We'll see what we can do.
Yeah. So there isn't a blanket. You're saying you just kind of work through it.
I mean, we have probably failed payments. We have 250 to 300,000 a month worth of failed payments.
No shit.
Yeah. So we have full-time failed payment person. All I do is collect failed payments.
Right.
It's, when you're looking at we had in the month of March we've had 1,800 unique customers.
Right.
It's
yeah.
Just,
the maths.
10% is 180 people.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah, it's just a lot. So we generally have a couple of hundred failed payments a month.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work.
There's a lot of fucking around.
Yeah, and then the sales. So we have a process where the sales team will go after it, and then from there, the sales team can't do it. Then it gets passed on to customer service. Customer service can't do it. It gets passed into the debt collection team, which is our internal. And then then from there it can get passed up to the finance team. Because the finance team is considered a dead lead then. If we've gone through and we just can't. Sometimes they just fucking ghost us, right? So then we send it to the finance team. The finance team then are incentivized to get those people. And then what they can do is they can go through and they can do Amex Blue, PayPal credit, fucking all the other lending strategies that they have in order to sort of prevent this person from being sent to collections. Mm-hmm. And we have specific scripts around that, around failed payment. And, people are incentivized to get it done. Mm-hmm. Once it gets handed off from the sales team, they know it becomes a little bit.
Right.
So it's okay, you're forfeiting all these commissions in exchange for someone else doing the work. Mm-hmm.
All right. So, failing banks. Give us your wildest prophecy, worst case scenario. Where's all this headed?
Worst case scenario is the US and UK banking system. I think it'll be saved, but I think it'll probably just consolidate down to the big ones. Mm-hmm. The big banks are still really safe. Bank of America is still super safe. Chase is still super safe. JP Morgan will be fine. All kind of stuff, but it's all these smaller ones that don't have liquidity. Some of the banks have so much money they don't have to do it themselves. Mm. Bank of America has so much liquid, they're fine.
Okay.
Same as in Australia, they're all fine. It's these smaller regional banks that are I think small enough to operate in rogue environments. Mm.
Do you think it's possible that is it an Oedipus complex deliveries where it's going to be a little bit self-fulfilling prophecy in that now people see smaller banks are collapsing, hear people like you and others go, oh, the big banks are totally fine. They're okay, well, fuck this small bank, I'm pulling out of it.
Oh, for sure. And I think there'll be a huge crypto run, which has already started.
Yeah.
Yeah, crypto.
So you're saying I should get back in?
Get back in. It's already started, right? There'll be a big, was it bear run? Is it bear run or bull run? Which is a good one? Bull run.
Yeah.
I always forget. So there'll be a huge bull run. It's already happened.
Yeah.
Ethereum was doubled in the past week.
I'll just check.
Just log into your FTX and see how it's going.
I'll just have a look. Still nothing.
Well, FTX is still around.
Yeah.
Right? So it'll be...
I get an email from the
CEO.
The whatever they call it every month telling me that, no news.
But it'd be interesting to see if there is a giant bull run.
Whether it could come back.
If that actually, fixes the liquidity crunch.
I highly doubt it.
Yeah. It was only a couple of billion that were missing.
I don't know.
I think, yeah. Who knows? Who knows what could happen?
But
there'll be a crypto run. I would assume, we've spoken about it. We're buying gold.
It's nothing to do.
You know what I mean? So, I think that there's going to be, diversification of people's, money. Like, I'll have some in the bank, I'll have some in wealth management, I'll have some gold.
Yeah.
I probably won't get back into crypto because I just can't I don't have the time to monitor it.
Yeah, that's the issue with crypto.
Yeah, you gotta monitor it.
And nerds are stealing money from you.
Yeah.
Like, that's how it works. That's what upset me about crypto. Is like people who are like, I outperformed you in the financial markets game. I'm like, you did. That's great. Now I'm buying gold so that I can fucking outperform you with my gun.
Somebody was like, oh no, you can buy gold and you can have it at this place. And I was like, yeah, but like what happens when I rock up and it's an apocalypse and they're like, I'm not giving you your gold.
Yeah.
Then I gotta kill them anyway. So I might as well have my
I'm drawing a treasure map. I'm finding an island. I'm burying the gold. I'm then like ripping up that map. I'm posting the parts of it to different parts of the earth.
Yeah.
That seems like the safest move.
Yeah. I mean, we're trying to get smaller coins so we can use them as...
We can actually trade with them.
We trade with them.
Buy coffee.
I don't want like 2-ounce coins that are worth 12 grand a pop.
No.
I want like 1/10-ounce coins that I can trade services and get Channing Tatum with my butt boy.
The apocalypse. That's right. I forgot about that. I was like, that's an odd thing.
Turn around, Channing.
Oh,
This
what
is
a
it.
wonderful
This is a great
movie. What a wonderful movie.
Yeah, you know what movie I watched last night was Soul Plane. You ever seen that? Oh man,
I don't think so.
it's like Kevin. It's like from 2004.
Okay.
It's the most racist movie you'll ever see. It is fantastic.
Really?
Yeah, it's like written and directed by Kevin Hart, I think.
Okay.
Back when he was like 27.
Right.
And it's about this black guy, Kevin Hart. He gets like injured on a plane. They award him with $100 million, so he starts his own airline. It's called NWA, right? And it's a Soul Plane, and it's purple. It's got giant spinning, rims and hydraulics and shit like that. There's first class, business class, and low class, right? And there's like standing room only in the back, like a bus, shit like that.
They tried to do that. Ryder wanted to do that.
Yeah, the half sitting, half
Yeah. Standing room only. They were like, no.
No.
But I mean, to be honest, like on those short European flights, it kind of makes sense.
Yeah, like 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, plane crashes, your seat ain't protecting you.
No.
Right? Like you're being liquefied whether you're standing or sitting.
Yeah.
You may as well be cheaper to stand.
Yeah. Because they make jet fuel that doesn't combust.
Really?
But it's so expensive, nobody uses it.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
It's important that it does combust at some point.
No, like it works as a jet fuel, but then if the plane crashes, it won't ignite.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
Yeah, but it's so expensive.
Yeah. Well, I guess like. The fuel on board is one of the ways, but the plane going from 500 k's an hour to not that's also a big problem for you.
You just need what's that guy that landed in the Hudson? That guy.
Tom Hanks.
You need that guy. Tom Hanks. It's true. But yeah, so my prediction is like for sales, like we had Jeremy script out all of this for the sales team because we know, like I think like one of the benefits. It's like I said to around Christmas. It's like if you know what the objection is, you can set up your core to combat it. So you can pepper things in, like with these uncertain times with the banking stuff. Like why is doing this so important to you now that when a lot of people are going to be running away from it? So like and for sales training in general, it's usually very beneficial. Now, so for sales training for 7th level, we're going like really hard, and this is a really good time to get market share because companies generally during economic crisis, they invest in sales training. That's been like the tradition. So we've been after one economic crisis after another. So it's been quite good for 7th. On the sales sniper side, we've fired nearly every client. Right. Because I just think they're all going to collapse anyway, so I might as well just pre-do it.
Get ahead.
Well, I had a look at them, and we just kept the best clients that we had, and we had a conversation with them, and we went much harder into paying with them.
Okay.
So we provided more services, added more, like we doubled and tripled the reps that are on certain ones. We've escalated some of them to global markets instead of country specific, and like we literally fired all but 4 clients, and our revenue didn't move.
Right.
So because I was just like, well, because I just did an analysis in all of them, and I just did, I was like, I think you're going to collapse, you're going to collapse, you're going to collapse, you're going to collapse, we're out. And so why stay?
Yeah.
Soon as like some of them are so aligned on funding, they just can't.
Well, and it's like the basics 80-20, right? Like if 80% of your money's coming from 20% of your clients, just focus on those.
Yeah, just fire it.
Yeah.
It's great. It's so free.
Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah, it's good. So like I see like the coaching industry taking a huge dive, and the ones that are set up for it. Like I think like I pride myself like we've seen things coming. It's like seventh in our own coaching company for a while. So like me and Marco have been specifically diversifying into different countries. We've really focused on Australia. So it's like we got all the Australian stuff set up, we tested the ads, we got the team, everything's good to go and ready now, and we started turning it up because Australia is a safe haven, right? So we've been doing it in Canada as well. I've set up a Canadian entity, we have Canadian funding, we have everything set up to be able to ramp up Canada, and we are doing that. So it's like we've been slowly but surely ensuring that this business doesn't rely on any one country, any one product, any one thing, so something can go down and we can fix it.
Yeah, perfect.
And we've been doing that pretty intensely over the last year. Because you use COVID, COVID destroyed 80% of businesses that were doing well. So it's like, well, we have to assume something like that will happen again. So how do we combat it?
That wheel's still turning, it just takes a different form, right?
Exactly. So, now the banks are collapsing. I think murder hornets were a while ago, who knows?
Aliens next.
That is probably the big one. Yeah, aliens. Yeah. And then we just have to figure out how to sell with alien behavior. NEPQA.
No, it's
Neuroemotional persuasion questioning for aliens.
Yeah, it's just an upsell.
Yeah. So anyway,
new package, you have to already have done 2.0.
Oh yeah, obviously.
It's an upsell.
What a new thing. Yeah, but that's another thing as well, having different products, and so we diversified our product range at 7th level as well to have a wider variety. Now that we've got the ones dialed in, and then we've got subscription services now. We got a subscription service up to $25,000 a month with no ads in 3 weeks.
Perfect.
So the goal is to get that to cover payroll. So we're going to do that for next year, and then we're pretty bulletproof, because it's so many customers paying a small amount.
Yeah.
You lose a few customers.
And that maybe that's a enduring model throughout weird times, right? Is much smaller payments, much more people.
Yeah, and we've just set the business up to where we can dramatically reduce expenses very quickly.
Yeah.
So but yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know what other coaching companies are doing, but
time will tell.
We're a good one to work for. We don't we're pretty tough. I speak to a lot of other business owners that are in the same space, and they're just fucking retarded. I don't know if you can say that.
You definitely can.
Okay. Well, they are.
Yeah.
And
they're just not reading the play and preparing, or they're
just even stupid shit. I remember I was talking to a guy a while ago about how annoying this whole sales tax nexus that we have to do is. What do you mean? Well, you sell info product, right? Yeah. And I'm you have to do sales tax. No, we don't. We're not a sales company. I was well, you might want to look at the tax code because you definitely are. If you sell an info product, or you have any PDF downloadables, anything, any revenue that comes from that is liable for sales tax. It changed 8-9 months ago.
Within Australia?
No, within the US.
Okay.
So, but that's a huge fuck around because every state is different.
Yeah.
So the US is more comparable to Europe than what it is to Australia. So it's 50 unique entities with 50 unique rules and regulations. So each state has a totally different threshold, and each state defines everything differently. So basically the federal government said, if you have a SaaS or a PaaS, so platform as a service or sales as a service, you could probably manipulate things to make it look like you're really doing coaching, but even though you have but if you have an online portal, you have to pay sales tax.
Right.
It's just the way it is. So our SLO, which is our self-liquidating offer, which has no coaching attached to it, which a lot of people have, so it's just a front-end offer with PDFs, downloadables, and access to a portal. That is 100% liable for sales tax on every single claim.
Yeah.
So it's
So you've set up all the infrastructure that tracks all of that. What stage people are in.
Well, we ended up doing it retrospectively because it only changed halfway through the year, and whenever we added in that information to the front end, it tanked liquidation from 70 to 5%. Even just all we do is add in a zip code.
Yeah.
5% liquidation. People don't want to give it to us.
Yeah.
So now, we have a process of gathering it, but it's very time consuming, but we have the process now of how to do it.
Without causing that resistance.
Without causing resistance, but we have to figure out a way to get it.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of things like there's a couple of different companies, like we can move it away from Stripe and onto a different company because there are a couple of different companies that, although they're more expensive, they act as the merchant, they act as the agent, which means that they collect the sales tax.
Right.
It's fucking confusing. But like,
most people aren't doing that.
No one's doing it.
Right.
None of them are doing it. And this is like, I remember asking Brunson about it. And he was like, oh, no. I was like, don't worry about it.
You didn't look him in the eye when you...
No, I averted my gaze.
Yeah, good.
Yeah. I didn't even look at my phone. It was through Boxer. I closed my eyes. But just like, none of them are doing it. So like, I just can't see these businesses lasting much longer because like all it takes is like some guy at the IRS, and please do it. If you're listening to this from the IRS, please order the coaching industry. I would love it because it would be a literal collapse of every business.
Yeah.
And we'd be the only one left standing because like, all of these people that have CFOs, right? Their CFO is like their friend who like went to uni for 2 years for finance, but knows fucking dick about shit when it comes to it. It took me 4 months to hire a CFO. He starts in mid-April. And the guy was like the VP of finance and head of finance for these like huge companies, and he cost a fucking bomb.
Yeah.
But he's really good, and he's older, and he's been around. He knows what he's doing. So it was a difficult hire. Like it took a long time to find. And I would never get someone from like the industry.
Yeah.
Like it's like because, and also I don't think people realize like if you're a C-level, if you're actually like on the website, if your title is C-level. Like you have to have D&O insurance for that person, which is like because you automatically become a director of the company. Mm-hmm. So you're now liable for all actions of the company. So like if I'm, working for coaching company X and they make me the COO, I'd be like, all right, cool. Let me see everything. I'd be like, let me see your balance sheet. Let me see your finances. How tied up into this personally are you? Like make sure I've got my D&O insurance. Like what have we got? Also, you have to be a fucking W-2. If you're a C-level, you must be a W-2.
What's that? That's an employee.
It's an employee. And all these motherfuckers are running as contractors. And like, I hear them talking about it, and like, I don't say anything because I don't really care. Like, whatever. If you think your business, it's only to benefit from me.
Yeah.
So I have no fucks to give if you guys fuck this up. But I know all these guys are running as contractors. None of them are W-2s. Right? Like, I know they probably don't even know what fucking D&O insurance is. And like, these companies are making tens of millions of dollars a year. And I'm like, how long can you do that for?
Yeah.
And this industry really boomed during COVID. The industry is really only 3 to 4 years old of like proper, insane amounts of people making good money.
Yeah.
But I just don't see it lasting long. And this is what business coaches don't teach. They're all business coaches. Yeah. But none of them teach you, hey, like, how's your P&L set up? Do you have the correct insurances? Like, do you have enough cash in the bank to cover X, Y, and Z? Like, how are you doing your cash flow management? What taxes are you registered in? What state are you registered in? Because, you know what I mean? Because, like, that, and if everyone's registered in Delaware, right? That's, like, where everyone registers a company. Mm-hmm. Because it's got, like, zero tax. But if you're not in Delaware, you have to have a license in where you are to act as a foreign agent.
Mm-hmm. So, no one has that.
No. Because I've said stuff like this before, and they'll look at me like dumbfounded. I'm like, don't worry about it, you'll be fine. And it's just like the only reason why I know it is because I just don't want to go to jail.
Yeah. So but also I think a lot of what I see anyway is a lot of the coaching companies are just looking to make as much money as fast as they can, and then they're going to jump ship. So they're not really looking to do things especially well.
Yeah. I'm
going to sell all of this. I'm going to hit a point, then this company's collapsing, and I'm going to go on to the next thing with the money that I carry over.
Yeah, but I mean, you're still liable for all that.
Yeah, but they're hoping that
it's done.
That's a future path problem.
Yeah.
Right, and hopefully that guy is not having to pay for the sins of the guy in the past.
Like even people that I think are smart. Like I won't say names, but like we had a company go, oh hey, I think we overpaid you a bit. I was like, okay, send me the information. And the entity is shut down. They deregistered it. And I'm like, but guys, you can't hit me up for a debt from a deregistered entity. They're like, oh no, but we overpaid. I was like, yeah, but you've closed that business.
Yeah.
And this guy's supposed to be a CPA. I'm like, but business doesn't exist anymore. They're like, yeah. So like, how can we do this? I'm like, no, we don't do this. Because that business no longer exists.
Yeah.
It is illegal to claim debt from a business that doesn't exist. Because when you deregistered it, you closed off the books, you closed off the debt. It's gone.
It's done.
Forever. Which means that someone can't hit you up for money.
Yeah.
So I can't go, you underpaid me. They go, it's deregistered, sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
And they'd be like, shucks.
Yeah.
Like, okay. You know, so, like, and these are, like, people who are making
We should know better.
millions and millions of dollars a month. Like, millions and millions of dollars. Because I was doing sales. I know exactly what they're making. It was obscene amounts of money.
Mm-hmm.
And none of it. I was like, what is going on?
Yeah. Well,
Anyway.
snap a dude.
I'm sure everyone will be fine. I wouldn't worry about it. If you're a sales guy out there working for a country company, I wouldn't worry.
You're fine.
Yeah. And the liquidity crunch and banks won't affect you. I would just keep selling blind faith in these business owners.
Go hard.
If he has a Lambo, it's probably all good.
As long as it's not rented.
Exactly.
Alright,
Guys.
that's it. See you next time.
Bye.
Put that coffee down.